right, everybody, how you doing? We are back. We are live right now. Broadcasting to you. This is Backstage Pass. I'm Mark Connors, your host. We are broadcasting live around the world, around the globe on this Saturday, October 10th, 2012. Oh, man, it has been one hell of a day. We've got all kinds of things going on. I've got to push, of course, really quick. I have to push my volume up, I think. My Cowboy Connors coffee. I'm told that, I really need to really get on this a lot. Can you see it there? It's called Mark Connors Snickerdoodle coffee. And it's good stuff. It's great stuff to drink, especially early in the morning. Anyway, we've got a cool show coming up for you today. I've got a buddy that's going to be coming on with us in about, hopefully in about 10 minutes or so. Somewhere around that time, very shortly. A gentleman friend of mine named T.C. Ridge. He is in a group called South Georgia. He is actually out of Florida, though. And he's a good friend of mine. Known him for a few years. Basically, South Georgia is one of the finest independent release on Crane Records. Was released in September 2005. Did a lot of stuff. I think that was actually was the original singer for the world-renowned band REO Speedwagon and Starcastle. TC recruited Grammy-nominated Benjamin Todd Taylor to play 4 of the tracks on this actual recording. And TC's been around for quite a while. I'll tell you what, he has his hair. If you look him up, TC Ridge, his hair is down to his freaking feet, and he's really a cool guy. He's fun to be around. He came out to my concert that we had, I think last year, our Halloween concert in Nashville at my backstage studios there, and came all the way out from Florida to visit with us, and had a great time out there. Sorry, I am sick. I'm sure you guys can tell I'm running a little sick here for some reason. Also, more coffee here. Did I mention my coffee? Yes, this is a different one, so I can say this. This is all about the country. It's named after actually my last CD. This is a breakfast blend, morning blend. And this stuff is delicious. It's kind of like the same, it has the same taste. It's kind of like almost like Dunkin' Donuts coffee. But this other stuff, man, Snickerdoodle, ooh, tastes just like Snickers, like a Snicker bar. And let's see, what else do I got here? Oh, if you get a chance sometime, you can check out my website, markconnorscountry.com, and buy a hat, a Mark Connors hat. Mention that you saw it on the show, and they will give you a discount. Also, my latest CD, Mark Connors. It's all about the country. See, it kind of blends and matches with my guitar, and see, it was kind of like, they kind of put that stuff together for promotional purposes. Things match and stuff like that. Anyway, this show is about musicians, for rock stars, country stars, anybody that's in show business, agents, bands, producers, directors, record labels, any kind of artist, and especially fans. This show is for you also. We'd like for you to give us a call. Sometimes the phone is open right now at 760-747-8243. We'd like to have you give us a call right here on Backstage Pass. I'm Mark Connors. Got an interview coming up with T.C. Ridge. Oh, check it out. That is actually, I'll bet you, T.C. right now calling from Florida. Let's check to see if this is him. In Backstage Pass, you are live. Who do I got on the phone? Oh, not yet. Backstage Pass, you are live. Who do I have on the phone?
It's T.C. himself. What's happening?
T.C., bro. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Long time no talk.
Yeah, it's been probably, since the show out at in Nashville.
In October of last year.
In October of last year?
I think it was.
Yeah.
It was like, because I was leaving from there going to a Halloween party over at Jimmy Van Zandt.
That's exactly right. Isn't that amazing? Time just flew by.
Too fast, man. It moves too fast. I always say time's never been my friend, ever.
So I was just, I was just talking to, our fans, our viewers, our listeners, and of course, TC, you know that we are now broadcasting at this very moment, broadcasting live around the globe, and you can catch it anywhere in the world, obviously. And we have fans all over the world. We've been finding that out. And so, we mentioned something about you at one time and said, hey, we should have TC on the show and see what's going on. We haven't talked to him for quite a while. So how's it hanging, other than your hair hanging all the way down to your...
Hair's still hanging, man. I tell you, it's been, this year's been a little bit slow. I think a lot of people are, I really don't know. I'd hate to speculate, but, things haven't been blossoming so much. I don't have a new single or record out right now, so I have been working on some new material and trying to get things in line, but I've also been working on a, believe it or not, a TV show that we're in the kind of finishing stages of having it put together, and hopefully it takes off and does something.
And where's that being shot at?
Well, I tell you, it's everybody kind of, will get a kick out of this, because I know that people won't expect it, but it's actually a cartoon, and I'm doing the voiceover for the main character, Clyde Hopper, that has a son named Tommy, and the show's called Bringing Up Tommy.
Oh, cool.
We're working with Fritz Kirsch, the director that did Children of the Corn and a whole bunch of other, classics. And there's a fella out named Eric Thacker out in Oklahoma is working on the artwork for it right now and putting it together. So hopefully, we'll have it ready to roll by the first of the year and have a network picking it up, and people can at least listen to me shouting and acting like a fool.
Well, I think that you'd be great on TV, whether it be your voice or not. You've got personality for that,
Well, it's definitely a different type of character. It isn't the normal TC, but I'll still continue touring and doing music and working on the new record and stuff like that as well. But it'll be a fun little side thing, and actually, whenever I was doing a record, producing a record with Dean Davidson from the band Brittany Fox and Black Eyed Susan several years back up in Philadelphia with Phil Niccolo, actually, and Concha Hawkins over at Studio 4. Dean, I was actually staying at Dean's place up there in New Hope, and he had some neighbors down below him that was doing some things we weren't real fond of, so we started throwing like old Avon bottles over the deck and breaking them on their deck below and screaming and shouting, and was like, oh my God, he heard the way I was screaming. He's like, we got to record this. So he had this idea that he had done with an Annoyance CD several years back with another label he was signed to, and so this whole Tommy character came to life in this Clyde Hopper, and next thing you know, we decided to make it into a regular cartoon. So we wrote about 15 episodes so far, and are putting it together.
That's pretty cool. Now, TC, you tell me about South Georgia. What's the deal on South Georgia? You got a group going, and you're kind of like basically a bunch of fucking rednecks rocking out.
Yeah, we're the new breed of rebel, if you will.
No shit.
Alternative Southern country. That's we had a song that did quite well over in France, and that was kind of the name that they had given to us, and next thing you know, it just kind of stuck. But it's I tell you, I've been through multiple personnel changes, and when we took a hiatus, I still went out on the road just as TC Ridge and did some new material and took some guys out from for a while, some guys from a band called Chrome Horses, and they played backup for me, and Michael Allman went out with me on the Breaking Your Back for the Man tour, so we actually shared a van and shared my tour bus, and went out across the United States and made some noise and brought, a kind of a smaller production compared to the south of Georgia, where you have fiddle and banjo and everything else in there. It was just a breakdown of a three-piece band, and then occasionally I would play some rhythm guitar, but mainly I just ran around like a wildcat and swung from ropes and jumped out from behind the drums, out and flung over the crowds and did what I could do. But and so it's south of Georgia. Georgia still exists. I'm still moving forward with it, but I like I say, for the last couple of years, I had to kind of take a hiatus with it to work on some new material that would be right. And
everybody has to. And you know what? Right now, it's really slow. The economy is just unbelievably trashed. And I mean, it's kind of stupid. This show is all about free speech in the music industry, and I can tell you right now, I'm pissed off.
I agree. I'm so disgusted. I mean, obviously, I feel like I've done my part to help other artists to gain their status, and I've been a member of the CMA Country Music Association for quite some time, and participate in the voting and get invited to all the fancy stuff that they always want you to earn their vote. But if you're not in the little clique and you're a little bit on the outside, as I am, I'm not quite your mainstream, clean-cut, deep voice, normal cowboy. I'm like the cowboy rebel. So sometimes, they buzz your in. Nobody wants to get behind your new record so much these days. Unless,
even playing out, I noticed to check your schedule, and even mine. I'm not touring this year. I've got a bus sitting out here at the studio, and out back. I use it now to go out and take the motorcycle out and go skiing and stuff like that at this time, because I'm not touring just like you're not, and a lot of people aren't. The money's not out there right now, and everybody's hurting. And the bands that are playing are the bands that got the big $1 million deals behind them.
Oh, sure, exactly. That's when you've got. I love Kenny Chesney to death, but you got him going out with Tim McGraw, and also putting Jake Owen on there. And in the old days, as if you were an artist that sold maybe $1 million, $2 million, it gave you the status to kind of break off as a headliner. But nowadays, you could sell $8 million, and you're still going to go out with somebody, because the idea is to bring the people into the shows, and times have just turned so much that everybody's, as and just said, tight. Money's tight, so to get people to the show, if you don't have a multi-million-dollar budget behind you, and them pushing you and bringing another artist that has multi-millions behind him, and every radio station pushing them, it's extremely hard to get picked up on a tour. I constantly have people saying, why don't you play with so-and-so, or go out with Trace Atkins, or any of these people, and it's all fine and dandy, and I would love to go, and it just, unfortunately, unless you have that hit single right now with $1 million behind you, it's a very tough market.
And so many of these as you and I both know, because you and I have tried working on shows together out in, like, I think Alabama, Florida, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
That there's a bunch of bullshit out there. And the promoters are a bunch of bullshit, to be honest with you, because they'll promise one show to somebody else, and then they'll work on somebody else, try to get a better deal, better price, and then before you know it, you've got this bidding war going on that's just basically wiping everybody out. And it's like, and now they're turning over to the damn karaoke bullshit.
Sure, and everybody can, they look for, nowadays, if you're an original band now, as you and I both are, we always throw a couple of cover tunes in for fun and create, and make it our own. But for the most part, these promoters, they don't want to pay, and then a lot of them expect you to come for the door or part of the door, or they want you to do a drop-off date, but nobody wants to promote. They want you to promote. It's just become a situation where it's just a very hard market. No promoter wants to get off their ass and do anything, and most of them nowadays just want you to play somewhere that's a beer brothel, so that you can bring a lot of people in and sell them a shitload of alcohol, and you move on broke and sometimes starving. I mean, I can't tell you how many times out on some guys don't like the tour. I'm going to be honest. I'm sure some people heard some bad things to them. I'm very aggressive when it comes to getting paid. I'm very aggressive to getting guys loaded on the bus and getting out of the hotel and on the bus and to the show and sound check and all that stuff. But I always say I'm the guy you want in your corner when it comes time to get paid, because I'm a pit bull, and I'll be at their throat until we do. And we've had situations in Pittsburgh, situations in Cleveland, and all around where the promoter, as you were just saying, they promise you the world, and it's in writing, but they know they kind of got you by the what when you show up, and you And if you're not very persistent on getting your pay up front, you know, I've literally had promoters slide out the back after the show and, you know, had to literally lay over in towns and states, telling them, you know, one guy literally waited in his desk with my feet up on his desk and his computer on me and said, you know, when he walked in and was kind of shocked and said, you know, you got a choice, you know, I'm not leaving here until you pay me, so it's up to you how you want to pay me, but one way or another, I'm leaving with our money because I got guys that tour with me that expect to get paid. That bus isn't cheap, and it costs a lot of money to keep it on the road. So you know, with that being said, it's a tough market out there right now, and now if you want to, you know, bend over backwards and drop your trousers and sneak into them, you know, you can play all the shows in the world, and believe me, I love to play, and I play 7 days a week, 3 shows a day, and I have played 3 shows a day many times, and just love it. But it also comes a point that, you know, you have to be paid. You got to be paid. You have to be paid for.
Yeah, I got stiffed.
At least enough to keep moving, you know.
We got stiffed out at, and I want bands to know that are listening to this, because this is, you know, also recorded, and it's a live show broadcast right now, but it also is recorded. I want you guys to know when you're listening to this that TC is talking from experience, and so am I. I got stiffed on a $19,000 check at Sturgis by one of the promoters at Sturgis. So.
Oh wow, yeah, I've been there.
So I want to warn you players out there that are touring acts and what have you, that when you hear of a promoter from Sturgis that is doing a lot of this military stuff, and it's a lady, I'm not going to say her name, but she's a promoter and she's a lady, and she will stiff you big time. Left my bus, my driver, my band, everybody stuck there, laid over, just exactly like you said, for 2 days, because we our check bounced. She worked us and weaseled us, promised us this, that. And, you know, that's a mistake that you make sometimes, and when you're under the gun, you know, and shit like that happens. Now, TC, let me talk to you about a little bit about people downloading our material, because I can tell you right now, my CD sales have gone down. Why should you want to spend, you know, $10, $15 on a CD when you can go to the song that's only 99 cents even and steal it?
Sure. Absolutely. I tell you, I had the same exact thing. Sales are down. You know, when I'm touring, my merchandise does extremely well, and to be honest, that makes up the difference when I'm out on the road with keeping everything paid and expenses, because I have been very fortunate with merchandise. You know, people like the hats and the T-shirts and the CDs, and that certainly keeps it going. But as you know, if you're not out on the road, you have to solely rely on whatever stores carry it or online stores and your downloads. And I had somebody actually send me a picture one time from over in Germany where a store had big cutouts of south of Georgia and the posters and everything else, and you know, just runs of the CDs. And keep in mind here, you know, it sounds wonderful, but none of those cutouts came from us or the label. None of the cutouts, none of the CDs came from the label. It was all bootleg stuff. So not only were the downloads in today that's hurting the market, but literally we had, you know, the CDs were pirated and selling, and apparently selling quite well. And you know, we did grab, you know, a decent fan base there, but all you can hope for in those levels, I mean, you can hire an attorney and hope that, you know, BMI or ASCAP or whoever's going to go after them, but it's a whole different world overseas when it comes to those things, and the best you can hope for is that you can draw a following enough to book a tour over there. But with this economy, you know, it's hard to follow up even with an overseas tour.
Yeah,
so you're getting stiffed all the way around.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, we're here talking with TC Ridge from Florida. Where are you at right now, TC?
Yeah, I'm in Florida.
You're in Florida?
Yeah.
All right, and we'll be right back with TC Ridge right here on Backstage Pass. The phones will be open. If you have any comments you'd like to talk about, any of the things that we talked about with TC Ridge, give us a call at 760-747-8243. Again, that is 760-747-8243. We'll be right back with some more TC Ridge.
They ask about her all the time.
Yep. All right, we are back with TC Ridge. He is calling us on the line here. He is calling us from Florida, I do believe. Is that where you're at, right, TC?
Yeah, in Florida.
In
Florida.
Here, where at?
Brevard County. I actually, believe it or not, I just got a call from Jimmy Van Zandt today. He's playing in Brevard County as well tonight up in Titusville at a seafood festival, and we were kind of contemplating maybe going up there, but I would much rather spend my time talking with you guys on the phone. That's for sure.
Oh, cool. We won't keep you too much longer, TC.
Oh, that's all right. No problem. I'm not worried about it at all.
Uh-huh. Okay. Anything out there that's pissing you off in the music industry? Let's just get down to the wire here, TC, because you and I are pretty open-minded and outspoken type of people. And you're the perfect guy to get into some bullshit with. What kind of pisses you off about today's bands? What about being on the road with them, or working with them, or recording with them, or rehearsing with them, or anything like that? What kind of bitches and gripes and moans do you have? Because I've got some.
Well, I have, from the industry standpoint, the whole television thing, and I support, the fact that there's so much talent, but at some points they're looking for such polished acts that, and, the following of these American Idols and X Factors and The Voice, which, don't get me wrong, I love those shows, but they kind of take the soul, the breathing of living the life and doing it and paying your dues into it to throwing you in front of a shitload of people, and all of a sudden, they establish all of it when there's so many hardworking artists that's out there that, have the uniqueness. I always think, guys like Willie Nelson, Rod Stewart, and Bob Dylan, cats like that would have never made it through the where they have to go in front of the judges on the pre-show stuff to see if they ever even make it to the live TV.
Uh-huh.
So I think that it's really ruining a lot of talent that's out there, and it's kind of I guess detour a lot of bands and artists away from going after it, because it has become that market.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part is bands themselves and artists that completely abuse when they are there, and the acts, and
mm-hmm.
sometimes the way they treat people. And,
No,
I always said if
let me ask you.
Opportunity as a kid to treat everybody as you would want to be treated, and treat everybody as a friend, even your enemies. Treat them as friends, and they're not your enemies anymore.
Right. Now, what do you? Let me ask you about tracking shows, where the Oh, hold on a second here, TC. This should be interesting for us both. You are calling now live on the radio, and I do believe we have Hollywood Yates calling in on our TC Ridge interview, which is a perfect time because we're covering country music right now, and this is Hollywood Yates, is it not?
It is Hollywood Yates. What's going on?
Hey, TC, say hi to Hollywood Yates, and Hollywood, say hi to TC.
How are you, Hollywood?
Good. How are you, TC?
We are.
Too bad. Are you in Hollywood?
Are you in Hollywood? No, actually, I think. Are you in Hollywood right now, Hollywood?
I am down south in Capistrano Beach.
Capistrano Beach?
Yep.
Cool. Hey, Hollywood, we'd like to talk to you in a few minutes. I'm going to be wrapping up here with TC very shortly. And can you give us a call back? And we'd like to interview you live on the radio.
Sure.
Sound good? And then,
How long?
and then all of us will get together tonight and have a brothel.
When do you want me to call back?
Call back in like about 10 minutes. That'd be great, Hollywood.
Okay.
We got Hollywood Yates.
I'll talk to you then.
Fantastic. Hollywood Yates is going to be calling us back here in a few minutes. As you can see, the celebrities are paying attention to our show. And they're paying attention to it because we're talking about stuff that really, really matters, right, TC?
Absolutely.
So,
Need to talk more often about it, and maybe create an uprising to change it.
yeah, an upright. I tried that in Nashville. I think I almost ended up on a hit list when I told all of
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, you remember that? I was telling everybody, hey, man, just go on strike, period. Don't show up to the fucking club that won't pay you.
Yeah, which is all of them, unless see, we want a tip jar.
Right. Yeah. Right. And you know what? A tip jar, man. You get me started on the tip jar shit. People don't know that in Nashville, those bands. You'll back me up here on this, TC. The bands up there, you know, you have to pass a tip jar, or you don't make any friggin' money. They pay you like what, $25?
That's correct, and it's so crazy, and especially if you're a touring band. I mean, if you live there, it's one thing, but even living there, I mean, there has to be a point, you know, if it's kind of like this. If you're willing to get paid $25 for a show, pass around a tip jar, you know, sit around your living room and have some friends bring some beer over and play and enjoy it. Because outside of that, it kind of
it's a waste of time.
They're going to be discovered, and I got to get out there because somebody's going to discover me.
Right, everybody.
The people that's looking to discover you is not hanging out at a place that's passing out a tip jar, you know, especially not to sign an act that's playing somebody else's stuff.
Yeah, no kidding. When I you know what, I never had. I hate to say this, I never had to pay my dues in that way in Nashville. I went to Nashville and pissed off some people actually pissed off Music Row because they kept saying to me, "How in the hell did you pull shit off like this?"
Yeah.
Right. You know?
Absolutely, and it almost seems like it's intimidating to some of them whenever you do kind of sneak in the back door and do it your own way, and
right.
They're not part of making it happen. Then it's almost like they're offended and don't want to get on.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. These guys, they were upset because I didn't spend money in particular areas into their little monopoly type of thing that's going on Music Row. And bands, you need to know this, man. They own everything. It's just like the New World Order, man.
Sure.
It's the New World Order of the music industry. You know, all the radio stations were bought out by Clear Channel for a reason, man. They own everything. You're not getting in the door unless you pay not your dues anymore. You pay with cash.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Well, you know, there's so many acts, there's so many artists, there's so many people out there, and the internet, you know, I kind of have a couple theories on the internet. I love Facebook. I love the whole MySpace thing when it happened, and now, you know, this Twitter thing is becoming such a really great thing, and they're all phenomenal. They're all wonderful, and I'm going to tell you where I believe they're wonderful, because you can communicate with your friends and your fans, and you kind of make your little families in the different towns and cities and states that you play in, and it's kind of like a reunion each time you're on tour, because you're expecting the friends that you made, and you all get to meet, and you can communicate and stay in contact, where in the old days, you know, your contact, if it wasn't by a letter, you didn't hear from them, you know, because you really didn't exchange phone numbers, and for one, as you know, you didn't have cell phones, you know, until the last few years. It became so popular. So for that reason, I love it.
Uh-huh.
And the other part is it's just like, it's kind of like fishing in a barrel for these labels. So it's like you've got all these millions and millions of bands and artists, and every kid that's got a basement or a bedroom or a garage can cut a record, and it doesn't matter how it sounds anymore. It just, you know, they can all do it, and so they have this whole pool to kind of fish from. And I think, you know, I'm not going to give away my age by any means at all, but, you know, a while back, before the internet, you know, came about, you know, we flyers, you know, and you flyered and you went out and you created a buzz with the hype, and you made people want to follow you, and then the next thing you know, once the hype was large enough and the labels heard about it, then they were looking, but they couldn't just get on a computer to find a band. It was literally from hearsay of people saying, hey, you know, you got to check this band out. They're creating a buzz, and you kind of created your region, and the next thing, it kind of exploded. And when I first started doing this
I'm going to
thing,
give you the telephone number to call in.
and me and my guitar player at the time, you know, we walked around briefcases, and you know, we were strictly on the promoting end, and created such a buzz, and we did things. You know, I can tell the story now how we got our original record deal, because it's an obsolete, you know, thing, but we actually. We created out of these magazines, they would have these fanzines when you'd open up your favorite music magazine, where if you liked such and such kind of band, and, you know, you could kind of pen pal and this and that, and we would write. My grandma at the time was a treasurer of the VFW, and she would get free stamps and had a free copying machine and all the paper, she's deceased now, so I can tell you the story without her getting in any trouble. And so we would go there and we would print up all of these crazy flyers and pictures and create all this stuff. And at the bottom of these pictures, we would take different labels, whether it would be Epic Records or Atlantic Records or whatever, and we would put on their new recording artist and these outrageous pictures of us and all this stuff. And we started sending these things out about this, check out this new band, write to this label and tell them you want to hear their complimentary EP or whatever we would come up with at the time. And then we would take, and once we established these fan bases, or really I want to call it more like pen pals, that kind of started, believing in this idea and go on, then we would send letters to them and have them send them from whether Oklahoma or Phoenix, Arizona, or Scottsdale, Arizona, or wherever. And then we would just say, here, we stamp this, will you just mail it out? Because as you know, back then, and even now, it has where it's mailed from, and they put the little stamp on it from the city. So without the internet, you could get away with kind of a created hype that got the labels interested. So we went on the messages. As you know, everybody always tells you how great they are and how wonderful they are. No, I'm the best man. Just like everybody, when you move into a house, says, oh, I'm the best painter, I'll come help you paint. And you know what you generally get out of that. But we went a whole different approach, and we sent letters from these different fans that we had created. So can you just mail this back to the label for us? And they would send them, and inside the letter it would always have some kind of cheap jewelry in it, or a crazy necklace or a scarf or God knows what. And we would create this, and we would send to these labels, to the A&R department or to the whatever, and it was always hate mail. It was never anything good about our band.
Yeah, I know.
But it was really us, and nobody had any ideas. And we would send it saying, oh my God, such and such, my name, or the guitar player, the drummer, whoever, you give this back to them. They gave this to my girlfriend, or a parent, a supposed parent, they gave this to my daughter.
Hey, TC.
You tell them to stick it up their
TC.
ass and blah, blah, blah.
Hey,
So it's what
TC.
we actually did. We created this massive amount of hate, but it looked like we were
Hollywood, I'm going to call you back on the studio line in
I mean, one
about 2 or 3
town to the
minutes.
next, night after night, because all this mail was coming in postmarked from all these different cities and towns with hate mail. It was never anything good. And then people accusing somebody of getting somebody pregnant. And keep in mind, it's all make-believe. It was all in fun and just, kids, being kids and trying to get a record deal. And the next thing you know, we had label after label actually started contacting us, and we at the time was working with Terry Luttrell, that was the original singer of a band called REO Speedwagon. And then went on to do 5 records with a band called Star Castle.
Yeah, right. I remember that. Well, TC, you know what, man? It's always nice talking to you. You've always got so much information. I enjoy talking to you every time we sit down. Like the first time that we met, of course, we hit it off right away. Both of us
Absolutely, man. It felt like family, friends, and just hit it off. And it's always been great. And I always enjoy talking to you and hooking up whenever we're in the same town. And look forward to many, many continued years of the same.
TC, you are more than welcome. Please do call in on the show. Watch us. You can always view us around the globe. Like I said, you can watch on Facebook for announcements. The show is always live and recorded, so you can catch it later on if you need to. TC, please give us a call back in later on. Touch base with us. Keep things going. And if you get a Facebook from me, it just says, hey, let's talk. I'm always love to talk with TC. You got so much information. You're out there on the other side of the country right now, too. Everybody gets to hear what's going on other sides of the parts of the country and what have you. So that's a big help for all of us to have time to talk with you. TC Ridge right here on Backstage Pass. I am Mark Connors, your host. TC, thank you so much for joining us, bro.
Thank you, my friend. We'll talk soon.
All right, man. Hang on there, TC.